Trustees is now called to order. The mayor will not be there today, so it's necessary for us to elect the mayor pro tem. I would like to nominate Joseph Rudez to serve as mayor pro tem for the evening.
Second.
It has been probably moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Prior to doing that, could I first say, we can ascertain that we do have a physical quorum present? Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Williams. Both aye. No, you did.
Oh, here, y'all talking about the no, second, the motion. You want to talk about the motion?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Trustee Payne.
Here.
Well, this is 201.
Oh. Aye.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Larry Brown. And Mary Cummings.
Good. This meeting is now called to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Trustee Oscar Brown.
Here.
Trustee Payne.
Here.
Trustee Griffin.
Present.
Trustee Rudez.
Present.
Trustee Larry Brown. And Mary Cummings.
Have we all stand for our pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a motion on approval of the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Williams. Both aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payne.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye.
Motion carried.
Motion passes. Under new business, item 2A, first, second, and third reading, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a proposal for lobbying service with Arms and Thornburg LLP and authorizing the expenditure of funds from the employees' expense tax fund. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Griffin, moved by Trustee Oscar Brown. Questions? Trustee Payne.
Yeah. First of all, again, you know, I have a question as to, first of all, why we are doing 3 readings on something like this. Why isn't it just one reading where we'll have where the public has a chance to respond or to provide their input for something like this? This particular ordinance is for the village to spend the first year $118,000 for lobbying services with Barnes and Thornburg limited liability professional. And this is the same firm that about 3 years ago, or during the last administration, that the village employed to do lobbying services. And I was not on the board at that time, but I remember all of the dialogue related to that, where we subsequently terminated their services. We were paying them at the rate of $10,000 a month, plus expenses. I think it was another $15,000, and we couldn't hardly get a report out of them. And it was purported that they lobbied and were the primary responsibility for the interchange at I-57. However, that was not even in the report that we eventually got from them. And when we checked with our representatives, they had no knowledge in talking to Thornburg either. So we didn't feel that they were very productive. So I don't know why we want to rush this thing through and not do a little bit more due diligence related to it. So I would make a motion, Mayor, that we amend this to just the first reading and give an opportunity for the public to comment and provide some input.
So you're making a motion to make the first reading, trustee?
Yes, to amend it to
Is there a
first reading.
second? Is there a second? Motion to amend to a first reading fails.
Yes. Having anticipated, I still have some additional questions regarding the agreement. On the second page of the letter, well, first the comments, it says on paragraph 5 that part of their responsibilities will be to enhance the relationships with local elected officials, including but not limited to Representative Robin Kelly, State Senators Toy Hutchinson and Napoleon Harris, and State Representative Anthony DeLuca. I just feel, Mayor Pro Tem Rudez, that this is the responsibility of us as elected officials. I know we have been working with State Representative DeLuca on a number of the issues regarding Thornwood House. So I don't see where that should be a function of this firm. It also says, after paragraph 5, that the firm will charge you a fixed rate of $8,000 per month for February, March, and April 2015, and then beginning on May 1st, 2015, we will charge a fixed fee of $10,500 per month through January 31st, 2016. A payment is due within 30 days of receipt of the invoice. All travel expenses are included in this fee. So, my question is, how did they come up with $8,000 a month and then crank it up to $10,500 a month? Because in the first year, for the 12 months, it would be $118,500. Is there any representative here from Thornburg?
Manager Lanier?
We don't have a representative. First of all, we do not encourage audience members to come to the podium and take pictures and record during our session. So that you can record, but you should do that in the back where it's not a disruption to the meeting. I did meet with the let's take the questions one at a time. The one is, whoever initiates an item for the agenda, they also initiate how many readings they want it to be. So if you initiate something for the agenda, or the mayor or board member, myself, you can ask for it to be first, second, and third readings. So that's how we come about those various readings. I wasn't here when he was last hired. I did meet him and I did talk with him, and it's my understanding that he is the person, or he is the lobby for us to receive the interchange, which in my opinion is quite a coup, because it actually will change the face of the University Park. They have an interest in exit ramp right into your park. I wasn't here at that time, but I do know for these things to happen, somebody has to advocate for it. The state doesn't just look at the map and say, I believe I would like to put an interchange here. I don't know what happened. I'm trying to answer your questions. So I can't really speak to who put all the energy in behind that. As far as the fee, I do know when I met with him, I was introduced to him. He seemed to be very knowledgeable. He's a former state representative. He has people in Springfield and Washington at all times that can help us lobby for fees. I believe we do actually need whatever energy we can get, especially with the new governor taking office, to help us secure grants and additional revenues, since our revenue bases are so limited. I mean, if he actually was successful with the interchange, I think that's, I believe that's what, $170,000, $117 million project in itself. I don't know quite the number. His normal fee, when I first spoke to him, was $12,000 per month. I explained to him that that's not something the village could afford or consider. As I was able to pursue it further, I was able to negotiate him down to $8,000 per month for the current fiscal year because it wasn't budgeted. I came back and explained to the board members, that even that was not something that we had budgeted for, that we can pay for out of our general funds. They advised me that they were willing to pay for it out of the head tax fund, which is at the board's discretion.
So that means that would be nothing off the taxpayer's back?
That's correct.
Okay.
You might recall when they initiated the head tax, when we budgeted for the head tax for the current fiscal year, we were directed to put 50% of it into a special revenue fund to be used at the board's discretion. This is one of the items they wanted to use their discretion to purchase, to utilize it for.
Yeah, well, Manager Linear, first of all, it was $41 million, not $117 million. So, well, he made some comments in the error, and I just want to, for the record, just make sure that the facts as I understand them are correct. Secondly, you indicated that he lobbied for it. None of our representatives knew anything about it. And everyone knew that the reason why the interchange was put into the budget at that time, after we'd been working on it for about 15 years, is because the Olympics were coming, and one of the venues was going to be out here at Governor State and had to be in the capital budget for Governor State. So, you know, when you say that it just didn't magically appear, yes, it did magically appear because the city of Chicago and the Olympics wanted to have the shooting venue out here at Governor State University, and there was no easy access into University Park. Okay, so I was not on the board at that time, but I listened to all of the dialogue, so I'm just relaying to you what transpired, right?
All right, just a little correction for the record, if we're going to talk about the numbers, since I was a sitting member of the board then. The money that was acquired through lobbying efforts was $171 million in capital funding and projects, and that's the reason why we have our interchange. We went from nowhere on IDOT's list to acquiring interchange to number 1 on the list, and that's what the project is going under the way now.
The $117 million.
171.
The 171, Trustee Ramirez, I remember that very clearly because we were trying to take credit for what was going to be happening also down at the third airport, which had nothing to do with University Park. The interchange itself cost was if I remember correctly, was $41 million, not $171 million. So I've got a few other questions here.
Sure.
All right. So the travel costs and fees, that will be whatever travel they do then will not be included as an additional charge.
I believe we will be responsible for out-of-pocket fees such as travel.
No, it's included.
No, it's included.
I'm sorry, it is included.
It's included.
Right. But now, later on in the scope of the standard terms of engagement for legal services, they have in here additional billings, the possibility for additional consultations outside attorneys, outside experts, and so forth, which they will bill in addition to what their standard fee is.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the question. Their fee is $8,000 per month. Their fee is what we're asking, what the board is considering is a fee of $8,000 for February, March, and April, and $10,005 from January through January 31st, 2016. Any additional fees would have to be brought back before the board, you know.
You discussed this agreement with
Mr.
Thornton.
Boykin.
Wait, okay. On page 2, under how fees will be set, in the second bullet, it says, and perhaps you can just share with us what this means, because I wasn't clear. It says the amount of money or value of property involved and the results obtained. So in determining the fees we will charge for legal services we will render for you, we will consider a number of factors, including the amount of money or value of property involved and the results obtained. So, you know, my question is, why would the value of what we're doing increase the amount of money that they're going to receive for things over and above the flat fee that we're going to be paying?
We're only agreeing to the flat fee. What you're reading from their standard terms of engagement for legal services, which is an explanation of how they set their fees.
It says how fees will be set. In determining the fees we will charge for the legal services we will render for you, we will consider a number of factors. time and labor required, the novelty and difficulty of questions involved, and the skill requisite to perform the legal services properly, the amount of money or value of the property involved and the results obtained, time limitations imposed, and so forth. And it says here, let me just jump down to the bottom of the page where it says other charges. It says, in representing our clients, there typically are other charges in addition to our fees that we itemize separately and bill to them. And then for the last two sentences of that paragraph, it says, certain of these other charges may represent more than our direct cost to contribute toward covering our overhead expenses. We incurred outside charges as agents for our clients who agree that these charges will always be paid on a regular basis. We may require that you pay significant expenses directly or in advance. So if I'm understanding this correctly, even though it may be, boilerplate, we will be obligated by this should they then decide that they need to bill us for this.
No, they cannot bill us any more than the standard fee that we're agreeing to pay each month. This is an explanation of how they set their fees.
Okay.
You notice on the first page of the letter, there's a fixed fee. Scope of services, fixed fee. So we're paying a fixed fee for their services.
So it doesn't matter what you're saying.
The agreement that we have before you to approve is a fixed fee agreement.
Right. Also, point out.
So is this saying, let me just clarify this, trustee. So is it what you're saying is that regardless of how much work that they, or time that they spend working on something for us, regardless of how many experts they must consult, and they talk about, testifying in court and all this kind of stuff, providing testimony if necessary, regardless of any of that may be required, we will only pay them the amount per month.
Trustee Payton, I'd like to point out what you're reading from under, there's a big bold heading that says how fees will be set. They've determined all of this work that they must do and then set a fixed fee. It's not saying that you're going to have to pay these. It's saying this is how we're going to determine what it is you have to pay. And it says right there how fees will be set. See, it says it right there. How fees will be set.
Yeah. And that's what I was reading from.
Okay, all right. So
That's what I was reading from.
and then on the other page it says it's a fixed fee of X amount. So that's
But-
the answer.
But if you drop down two paragraphs from that, it says here, hourly rates of our lawyers and legal assistants applicable to the type of engagement have an important bearing on the fees we charge, but not necessarily the sole basis for which those fees are charged. Even when hourly rates are used as the primary basis for computing our fees, they can and will be adjusted up or down accordingly to the circumstances. Then if you look at the term of payment, they say here, we will bill you on a regular basis, normally each month for both fees and other charges. We rely on you to pay us promptly. Our fees and charges are due when you receive our statement. Also, if you do not pay us within 30 days of our statement or otherwise you agree that we must discontinue providing services immediately and withdraw from representing you after providing reasonable notice of our intention to do so. After withdrawal, we may pursue collection of your account. Then under advance deposit, it says, new clients of our firm ordinarily will be asked to make an advance deposit with the firm. Existing clients may also be required to provide advance deposits for particular matters if the firm believes it is appropriate under the circumstances. Typically, the advance deposit is equal to the fees and other charges likely to be incurred during a 2-month period. A little further on, it says that the advance deposit provides insufficient to cover current fees and other charges. On the basis stipulated, we may request that the balance be increased.
Trustee Payne, I believe the applicable word in least for the under how fees are set is applicable. We are under a fixed fee agreement, so it's not applicable in our situation. We are going to just pay the fixed fee. As far as advance deposit, again, I think that is covered under the fixed fee terms of the agreement.
You will know on the agreement that's before the board, on page 3, in conclusion, those 3 pages that set forth the entire terms of our agreement. So the following page that you're reading from, those are just the boilerplate on how they go about setting their fees. They're not germane to the agreement that we have in the sense that we already have established a flat fee.
Have our attorneys had a chance to review this?
No.
They haven't. Any particular reason why?
I feel pretty comfortable reviewing a 3-page document.
Well, it's not just a 3-page document, though, because if it was just a 3-page document, then we wouldn't have the standard terms of engagement for legal services attached as part of this.
We will certainly submit it for their review.
Excuse me for being late, but I do have a question regarding this.
Trustee Larry Brown?
We're saying that we're comfortable, we're going to pay these individuals $8,000 for February. Mr. Miller, February, what have they done to be paid for $8,000? And actually, over the course of this year, that's $108,000. Where's the money coming from? I know we're talking about the expense, the employer's expense account, but just the last meeting, the January 27th meeting, Trustee Oscar Brown stated that the money from this employer's expense account, we want to use it to help repair streets and buy equipment. This is still the winter season. We have equipment that is broken down. Where are we going to get the money for this month? $8,000 to pay this individual for what? What have they done? What? $8,000 here's almost the middle of, this is almost the middle of February. And they want to get paid for $8,000 to do, from doing what?
Trustee Brown, to answer your first allegation about what I said.
Well, I got it right here, Trustee.
I have it right here too, Trustee Brown. And what I
want me to read it? I can read it to you.
I can read it to you.
One at a time, all right? One at a time. Trustee Oscar Brown?
All right. It says, Trustee Oscar Brown noted his objection to the use of employee expense tax for the entire cost of this project. Noting that there was specific destination for these funds, which include street repairs, purchasing of necessary equipment. You go down further, this was and is a temporary measure needed to buy and needed equipment, make necessary road repairs, secure additional revenue streams, and to replenish our reserves, and to induce business to hire locally. That is what I said. That is what's in the minutes that were just.
Paying these individuals $8,000.
Trustee Larry, just give him a second.
But I wasn't, he stepped in when I wasn't done yet.
Okay, all right, Trustee Larry Brown.
But this does not replenish our reserves. That's this depleting. $8,000 we're paying this individual this month for what? What have they done? Show me something they've done to even warrant even coming back. If this individual did all he did, why did he leave? Why did the village let him go?
Trustee Oscar Brown.
To answer your first question, this is to secure additional revenue streams. This falls precisely to what the head tax was meant for. Also, the Barnes and Thornburg was left because Mayor Covington, Trustee Larry Brown, and Trustee Milton Payton fired him, despite any good work they did.
I think it was more than 3 of us, sir.
Griffin, too?
Okay. And Trustee Griffin, too. Sorry about the mistake there.
Any other questions? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Nay.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Absolutely no.
Trustee Williams. Mayor Pro Tem Rudez. Motion carries. And that's ordinance 2015-07.
Resolution approving an agreement with Illinois Department of Transportation and the Village of University Park for the Olmsted Lane and Black Hawk Drive proposed sidewalk and solar flashing improvements. Is there a motion? Moved by Moved by trustee Griffin, second by trustee Oscar Brown. Questions? Trustee Milton Payton.
So just so that I'm just clear, the project costs really about $250,000. Part of this is the $25,000 will be reimbursed to the village by the state of Illinois. So we're fronting the $25,000 and then will be reimbursed. This is for the engineering portion of it, will be reimbursed from the state. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, the other $220,000, is that money that's coming from the state also as part of the Safe Routes?
Correct. It is a Safer Routes to School project. This is a formality, a resolution that IDOT is asking to attach to the file.
Okay. So there's no matching piece for the village for that?
Safer Routes to School was a grant.
Okay, great.
All the way through.
Right. On the project program information form for IDOT, you have down here near the bottom, it says local agency contact. See that? There's no page number here, but it says the local agency contact is Ross Burgess, who no longer works for the village. Okay. And then it also has his email address, so should that be Jerry Hunt, or should that be Jerry Townsend, or should that be you?
We'll change it to Jerry Hunt.
Jerry Hunt. Okay, so I would make a motion then to amend this project program information form to reflect Jerry Hunt as the local agency contact and strike Ross Burgess.
So, there's a motion, second. A motion by trustee Payton, making an amendment to it, and second by trustee Larry Brown. Questions, anyone? No. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Williams. Both aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye for the amendment.
And Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Rudez, that is resolution on 2015-02.
All right, Madam Clerk, we need to go for the regular roll call now? That was just voting on the
I'm
amendment.
sorry. Right.
Right.
Now the roll call.
Roll call for the bill, yeah.
Trustee Williams. Both aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye.
Now that's resolution R 2015-02.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 3 under new business, a resolution approving an agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation and the Village of University Park for the University Parkway State Street reconstruction.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Griffin, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Milton Payton. Questions, anyone?
I have a question.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Looking at page 4 of 5, it's the first statement there with the state agrees. And it reads, to provide such guidance, assistance, and supervision, and to monitor and perform audits to the extent necessary to assure validity of the LA, which is local agency certification of compliance with Titles 2 and 3. What's going to happen when the state comes to do an audit and find that we don't have, all we have is a 2011 audit? Do we fall out of compliance? What happens with that?
They're talking about auditing the records pertaining to this project, not our general ledger.
Trustee Payton?
I calculated that the village's portion, after the 20% less the 50% that Will County is going to kick in for our matching funds, will be about, I think it was $432,000. Where would those funds come from?
We will levy those funds out of our road and bridge fund.
Okay, so we will increase the levy.
We want to increase the levy. Most of the levy will be allocated to this over the next couple of years.
So what about the other projects that Road and Bridge needs to have?
Well,
Take
we
care
can't
of
do every project that we would like to do, but this project was important enough to move to the top of the list for the region and for the village, so it will get priority.
And what's the timing on this?
I expect this road to be started, I believe, this spring, the next couple of months. We will probably build part of it in the upcoming fiscal year and the balance in the subsequent fiscal year.
But aren't the funds committed for Road and Bridge for this fiscal year? We only got a couple of months left.
It wouldn't be, no, we wouldn't pay for it out of the current fiscal year. It wasn't budgeted in the fiscal year 15, and we budgeted in fiscal year 16. The upcoming, it will be included in the upcoming budget.
Okay.
We couldn't have budgeted.
So all of the addition, the 5-year road paving, I know Trustee Oscar Brown Jr. had gotten a commitment to have, what was it, Irving paved?
Not urban. The whole town. Whole town needs it, but it's Greenbrier, Lab, and Amherst.
Okay,
We
so
can't
those
hear you
projects
guys.
will,
We can't hear you guys.
so those projects will fall to the bottom of the list, and this will then become the priority project for the village.
Not necessarily. It was the board's decision to make this a priority. They made the decision last year. Other projects, such as the Greenbrier project, the board decided to fund that through the head tax, through the employer tax expense. So that project is in a different fund.
Is that a proper use of the funds, though, when streets are normally maintained using the road and bridge fund? I mean, if we're going to do that, shouldn't the funds be transferred somehow or reallocated somehow to road and bridge so that we are not just doing pet projects here, to justify payment for it by saying we have this money? And, and the thing with me is that's really kind of a misnomer. It's a red herring to say that, we're going to use this employer expense tax fund or this head tax fund, because it's all resources that the village has. And if we weren't using it for paying the lobbyists and, other things, we would be using it for kids programs or getting our police cars working properly, code enforcement cars properly, beautifying the village and so forth. So, I think it's, the way it's set up. And then, how much is in the fund? I like to follow up on what Trustee Larry Brown said. We've been using this fund. We're only collecting about $200,000 a year, and also the Technical Resource Center is supposed to be paid out of that fund.
Year-to-date 2015, head tax receipts $260,436. Projected for 2015, $347,248.08.
Right, and we've already allocated, at least just tonight, $118,500 for the lobbyists. We got another 200 and probably close to 350,000 for the so-called Technical Resource Center. Sure, you got 200,000. You spent $42,000 on JMA architects.
Let's stick to this agenda, please.
Well, the question is, what he has said here is this. My question involved the head tax. Okay, because we're using this head tax as justification for some of these things that we're talking about doing, and yet there's no seemingly accountability as far as the fund is concerned. It's all fungible assets as far as the village is concerned. So to say that, we have this special fund and we have all this money in it is ludicrous as far as I'm concerned. Particularly when we have bills to pay and haven't been able to pay them. We've been holding checks. That's all.
Any other questions? Do a roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Vote aye for progress.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Vote aye.
Thank you.
So that's resolution 2015-0203.
All right, backside, new business, item B, a resolution accepting and approving the annual audit report for the fiscal year ending in April 30th, 2011. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Payton, second by trustee Oscar Brown. Is there a question?
Is there a representative from?
There he is. The representative is here from North Carolina.
Okay, we can let him have his, make some comments, and then we can ask some questions.
Yeah, is that how you'd like us to?
Well, if no one has any questions, you can just bring it up.
I have questions,
Oh.
but I didn't know if you wanted to make some
Well, let's ask them
statements.
questions, maybe he can answer you.
Yeah, however, whichever way you'd like to do it. I
Let's
can do
have
it
the
like
trustee
we
ask
did
the
first.
question
Okay.
that might be a general concern, and then you can answer them.
Perfect.
Okay.
Name first.
Okay. One of the, obviously, the primary issues that I have is, obviously, it's not your fault that the audits are late. But I've been appalled with the last two audits in the lack of fundamental, what I consider to be fundamental things that an accounting department should be doing. And this is particularly true since we have a village manager here who has a CPA and was a former finance director of Hanover Park. So I was very encouraged when he came on board because we knew anecdotally that we had some real problems in our finances. But since we now have documentation that you've gone through some of these things, I'm really appalled at the depth of the problem. Now, having said that, I noticed in the management letter that there are a number of items that seem to be repeats from before, kind of fundamental things that we said they were committed to before because they were going to be boilerplate kind of things like an investment policy, certain policies and procedures for certain things, and so forth. And so I'm a little surprised that we haven't made more progress along those lines. Now, I realize this is 2011, and there's a lot of, this is 2015 that we're in, even though, fiscal, not the, fiscal year, 2015 where we have to have an audit. Could you comment on that a little bit as to
May I comment on that?
yeah.
Those findings would be there. When you look at those findings, those management letters, they are pertaining to that year. So even if I went out today and cured all of those management letter issues, it would only be relevant to the year that they will be auditing. In other words, curing them in 2015 would not be sufficient to say they existed in 2011. So they would still exist in 2011 and in 2012, and possibly some of them in 2013, because that's the year we're referring to in this audit.
Okay, well, let me ask the question a little differently then. Of the things that, and I know that you, Gloria, and now Mr. Jones inherited a hell of a mess, when you came in, because we've had this conversation in the Finance Committee. How many of the items that were brought forth in the 2010 audits and the 2011 audits have been corrected operationally now, even though they're not necessarily showing up in the audit? So, for example, if we were to go through these items like the Gatsby statement number 67, or outstanding check write-off policy, investment policy, could you give us some idea of what has been corrected that is not showing up in the audit, but now, as far as a standard practice is concerned, you are now, in fact, doing the correct things?
I can comment on that a little bit. I'll let Matt comment on that. We have a lot of priorities in the accounting department. We work on a lot of things since I've been here. Those management letter comments are true. We're aware of those, and they're going to be corrected. Some of those we're already working on. We might not have a formal policy. We're working on it as we speak. But my main priority was getting financial statements in order so we can get an audit done. Matt can talk to you about the books and how they work, but we've done a lot of work since I've been here just to get the books ready for the audit and get the audit completed. Those managerial comments are important, but they'll get done, and we'll get those done as soon as we can.
So, you know, I guess I get back to my original question, is that there were 16 major things, and if I remember correctly, there was only one that I think had been corrected based upon this 2011 audit. Can you give us an idea of the 16 items that were cited here in the management letter, how many currently have already been addressed?
I would say, in general, from where we were at in 2011, there are certain ones that could be done now that we could take off the list. Like some of those policy ones that we talked about last time, those are on the list that can be done. But as Joe said, they've put an emphasis at this point on getting the books in order so we can do our audits. So that's kind of what the priorities have been. In terms of the actual accounting and work that's being done within the village by Joe and Sharon, they've made vast improvements when it comes to the current bank rec process and the month-end close process. I know they have started, which we are not even close to that point because we're just doing 11 and we're currently in the 12 audit now. But once we get up to 2015, let's see, what was it, 3 months ago, Joe, you started doing month-end closes, which is a standard, normal operating procedure that every village around does. But it was a very significant accomplishment that they were able to get the books in order to be able to do a timely month-end close. So I'm seeing improvement, I'm seeing progress done on the actual day-to-day accounting side. Bringing in the extra body with Sharon was a significant help for the village that we've seen. They were just so short-staffed before she came, and she's brought a level of expertise and help that has been very helpful in the process to us. So I'm seeing things getting better. Obviously, from where I'm at in 2011 and getting into 2012, there's still a long ways to go, but I'm seeing things in the current accounting that is better than where we were at this point, which these records were as abysmal as I can never remember seeing.
In your opinion, because we've had this conversation in the finance committee about extra staffing for the finance department, and I know they hardly had time to train anybody, let alone to hire somebody to bring them on. Resources, we heard were a problem, but yet we brought on the community relations staffer. In your opinion, the systems, because I see some major systems, it's one thing to do the accounting, it's another thing to put in place the systems that run all the way through the organization so it functions properly. And I'm also, things like, the board not having monthly management reports, you still don't. If you took a look at the golf courses analysis that was done, there's obviously major problem areas in there, so you can't manage, what you don't know is a problem. And so I'm just wondering, is there additional staffing that maybe needs to be put in place for 4 or 5 years to assist the finance department speed up this whole process to, get our financial house in order?
I guess I don't really feel like I can speak on that directly. I know what has happened since Sharon came on board to help to provide that extra body at the time. So I know there was significant improvements that have happened with that one more body that was added then, not only with us being able to get through these audits faster, but the current accounting that they are doing on a month-to-month basis. So, I guess that would be probably a little bit more towards Lafayette and Joe's perspective of if they feel, there's additional projects and things that are getting pushed to the side because, we're pulling Joe's time so much on these audits. That's something that I think they would have to speak on a little better than what I know.
Could you come in on that? Either Lafayette and or Joe?
I'm sure additional bodies will help us address some of these policies and system issues. But again, we're accustomed to working with what we have. I spend a lot of time, doing financial functions also to help out the finance department, the budgets and things. And sure, there's nobody who always help, but you said we have to work within our resources.
Well, wouldn't $118,500 help your department?
$118,500 would help
Yeah.
all of our departments, any department.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just thought, instead of spending it on the lobbyists, perhaps it would be better.
Right now,
Sir, please,
right now, the
please, sir,
bodies
you have
that
to
you
be
have in place
recognized.
right now,
Sir,
the
please
bodies
have a
that you
seat.
have in place right now in the accounting
Mr. Dilworth,
department,
would you please have a seat, be
the
recognized?
bodies that you have in place right now in the accounting
Officer, please
department,
stand. Thank you.
just the resources that you have in the accounting department right now is not the correct.
Mr. Dilworth, if you have comments, you have a position that sits on the board now.
I understand.
I'm not going to allow you to stand up and be disruptive, okay? If you want to make a report, come up here where your seat is and your name tag is, and I'll recognize you and you can join in the conversation. But we won't stand for that jumping out of order.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's continue.
I'm done.
Any other questions?
I do, and maybe it could be just a typo. Page 16 of the prior recommendations. Just reading this portion in the first paragraph, and it reads, previously and during our current year-end audit procedures, we noted that the fund balance of the Series 2003 bond fund decreased an additional $200,686 from $956,698 at April 30th, 2010 to $1,157,000.
No, that is correct. It went further negative.
Was that a typo?
No, that is,
Shouldn't that be reversed? It just seems like it should be reversed.
I would like to say it should be reversed, but it's not. It went further negative in the hole. So
Less than what's stated?
it went from 956,000 down to, well, it's not, okay, I'm sorry, 200,000, okay, maybe the number is.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, that's about right, I think. It went from 200, yeah, that's about 200.
Yeah, I see the amount. I'm saying it decreased.
Yeah,
It shouldn't that, it said it decreased from 956,698. Negative. That's a negative.
that's a negative.
I guess that's what I'm
That's a
looking at.
negative fund balance. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That one's a bad fund.
Okay.
That one's not being funded appropriately. And that's why it was called out specifically in this management letter comment.
All right, and just saying it didn't, I guess that's what I'm meaning, is a negative fund balance.
Yeah, it is a negative fund
Okay.
balance. That is going further negative due to improperly funding this debt service fund. So basically,
If
The general fund
the money's not in the budget, you can't fund it.
yeah, it's not being funded with enough property tax money
Right.
that is coming in for this bond. So
Thank you.
the general fund is picking up the slack to pay for this one.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Clayton has one more question. We can hopefully go to a roll call.
Yeah, okay. Page 101 of the audit itself. At the second line from the bottom, it says tax collections. And I noticed in 2010, and this is kind of the tax rate with an extension, and I noticed for 2010, for tax collection, there was nothing there.
Yeah, that's about the timing of the levy years. So when you issue let's see, so at this point, you would have issued in 2009, the calendar year 2009 was like December of 9 is when you make the 2009 levy, okay? That money ultimately gets collected then after the following year end. So because you were mostly, your money comes in after the April 30th year end. So these monies for the 2010 levy will actually coming in the next fiscal year. It's just a timing issue for you guys. So as you can see, the 2009 levy received all that money that came in during your current fiscal year. You got the full collection that you were asking for during this 2011 year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's all a timing thing. It's very confusing with the levy year versus the collection year. That's how Illinois operates.
You got a one? Could I ask a question?
Trustee Griffin?
Yeah, I just got to ask a question. I talked to you before, excuse me, before the meeting, and one of my things that I have is that for those who don't know, you should know, one of our sore points or one of our bad spots in the village is just the golf course. That has lost numerous of dollars. I talked to you about 9, 10, and 11. So whether you can answer it or the finance department. Now, they told me in 9 and I think 10 and 11 it was close to 800,000. So are we still losing about that much each year?
Can we hear from the audience? But we didn't hear enough from finance.
This is Morgan.
So that was 9, so that was 10 and 11. So with 12, 13, 14, we're about the same.
I don't have it right in front of me, trustee. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Trustee?
But I would say with that, I mean, from the years that we've seen, they have been negative each year.
Yeah,
So
each year.
if it continues to trend in this way, I mean, it's in a business type fund, which is supposed to be a self-sustaining fund.
Right, and it's not.
So if it is not self-sustaining, I know the general fund is picking up the slack.
So-
At this point in 2011, if there needs to be, further emphasis on the golf course fund to turn it around, or just cut your losses and go to the special revenue fund or something, that's something to investigate. But, in terms of that, there's a lot of time between where we're at in 11 to
That's true.
current.
I agree.
So,
But I was just making a statement. I was brought that out because Trustee Payton was talking about 118,000, but we losing close to $1 million for the past 10 years at the golf course. So if we had that money, we wouldn't have a problem. So, okay, thank you, sir.
Trustee Payton?
Yeah, exactly. Trustee Griffin, on page 96, it points out here that the actual operating loss for the golf course for 2011 was $815,196. Now, we don't have the audits for 12 and 13, but we did, and because I mentioned it, the treasurer's report for the last couple of years. One was, the loss was $1.2 million, and I think the other one was about $700,000 or $800,000. So I don't know where we are right now. We took a look at some numbers in the finance committee for the golf course, kind of year to date, but they were not accurate. So there was a big caveat there for us to be cautious in looking at the numbers. But even with those numbers, that we were looking year to date at about a $200,000 or $300,000 loss, and obviously, that was only a portion of the year.
All right. Is that it? Any more questions from the board? Madam Clerk, let's get the roll call while we can.
Trustee Williams, vote aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
I understand.
Trustee Rudette.
Vote aye to accept the audit.
Trustee Barry Hunt.
Vote aye.
Mayor Pro Tem says that resolution R 2015-04.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. To item E, I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to ask to make an amendment on this. It's the motion to authorize the village manager to seek bids for residential refuse collection and to continue with negotiations with Homewood Disposal. I would like someone to make a motion to strike continue and add discontinue with negotiation with Homewood Disposal.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second. Motion by Trustee Griffin, second by Trustee Oscar Brown.
Yes.
Questions, anyone?
Yes. What's the rationale behind it?
Well, if we're going to send the thing out to bid, we can't be negotiating with any individual one-on-one, so everybody has to have a fair opportunity to bid on the project.
Because if we negotiate with them when we send out an RFP, we open ourselves up to litigation.
Absolutely.
I think.
We still negotiate with them while everybody else has.
Yeah.
Okay.
So have negotiations been going on?
No, when the agenda was prepared, I called Wood and I did not meet with them. I told them I would submit them RFP, should just be approved. If it is not approved, then I would meet with them to negotiate.
Okay, though.
So could we just strike that?
Yeah, that's not what
Put stop negotiations.
Actually,
Discontinue.
it was actually a typo, you know, we discussed it, we prepared the agenda, we had set up meetings with them, so we notified them that we weren't going to meet with them, and then they should have read discontinued.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call on the amended changes, please?
Trustee Williams? Aye. Trustee Oscar Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Payton?
Aye.
Trustee Griffin?
Votes aye.
Trustee Revere?
Votes aye.
Trustee Melvin Brown?
Votes aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
No, I have some questions.
Okay.
Right.
Now, let me read it the right way. Motion to authorize the village manager to seek bids for residential refuse collection and to discontinue negotiations with Homewood Disposal. Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by Trustee Griffin, second by Trustee Larry Brown. Questions? Question by Trustee Payton.
Yeah, a couple things. One of the things that, my main question is why wasn't, for our purposes, this completed? Because there's no deadlines here, there are no village-owned properties that are listed. So this information is missing. Is there going to be, I mean, you know, why?
That's not the RFP that we would send out. That's a boilerplate. We would sit down with the engineer and myself and the public works director. We would actually draft a much more detailed RFP before we send it out. We'll probably get it out early next week.
Okay, but for our purposes, since our current contract expires on May 1st, is that correct? If we're going to go out and give people probably 30 days to bid on it, isn't there a deadline that we should know about? Because if we're looking, even today, we're looking mid-March.
We will probably have this thing done within 30 days. We normally give them 15 days to respond to the RFP. It's only a limited number of companies that would actually come in and talk to you about it, and they're pretty much, everything's pretty much standardized.
Okay. On page 2, under primary requirements, trash, second bullet, it says unlimited pickup on a weekly basis. The unlimited pickup will include bulk items. Now, what do we mean by unlimited pickups? Because they normally pick up on, you know, given days. They don't come every day whenever you want to call them.
We were restricted to 1 day a week, picking up the entire village 1 day a week.
Okay.
The unlimited means they would pick up things such as, you know, bulk items. If somebody were to sit and say an old used couch out in front of their home, they picked it up also, in addition to the trash can.
Okay. Under recycling, second bullet, it says unlimited pickup on an every other week basis for recycling. So are we going to be starting a recycling program in the village?
Trustee Wu, that's one thing I said.
I think this is the desire of the board for us to go with recycling is something that we would like to see in our community. If the residents want it, then that's something that we can add in the RFP. Am I correct, Manager?
You're correct. We will present an RFP to negotiate their point. It's very common for refuse companies to pick up a recycling bin in addition to the regular garbage bin. You'll roll out the recycling bin every other week and the garbage bin once a week, you know, so they'll supply 2 bins with different colored lids.
Yeah, I know we're one of the few communities that
That
don't.
does not, and I think that we should be encouraging that. So.
Just for your information, on page 4 on the term, you've got the contractor must be able to have their service effective May 1, 2015. So I think you got a typo there.
That's a long time from now.
Yeah, it's a real long time.
Gives us a long life.
Right. And one other question here, on the last page, the table, which says Village of University Park, one of the things that we talked about was the loss that the village, I mean, the residents are actually subsidizing some people's garbage because they're not paying their trash bills, and we had to pay it for them, and we were talking about going back to where everybody pays their own trash bill directly to the disposal company. And I notice here that you have single invoice to University Park and an invoice to individual residents on both the single family and the multi-unit pricing. Are we really going to still consider a single invoice to University Park?
We are considering, that's why we're asking for information in both categories. This, my understanding is that the bills decreased significantly when the village took on the task of billing. And we also understand the cost of picking up garbage is also decreased significantly, should decrease significantly with the reduction of labor that the refuse companies would use now, or would use with the going from the two-man crews to the one-man crews. There's quite a few unions that we'll have to sit down and talk with them about, their labor costs. I think that their labor costs decreased significantly, while we did not enjoy the benefit of that decrease over the last contract that was already set. And the cost of us billing, and as you know, when we bill the residents, they require us to pay their bill on a quarterly basis, and we pay their entire bill rather than we've actually collected it. So it actually is subsidized by other residents, which is why it keeps your bills might be a little bit lower than they should be. So there are certain things we have to consider when we review the RFPs such as that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm still concerned because it seemed to be abusive here. Because there was, I know Ms. Sandra Warren, when she was here, did a FOIA and found that there was substantial, a couple $100,000 penalty that we were paying by doing it because people were not paying the bills and we were paying the bill. So, that's just a real concern of mine. The other thing is, I know the recycling piece adds something to it. Can we have, as part of this, what the additional cost would be to the residents for part of the recycling program?
Yes, we'll bring that in.
One more thing, then we'll move on. Currently, we do the billing for the garbage, correct? Maybe one of the things we could put in there is that the company that takes over can do the billing as well to alleviate some of our personnel. Is that possible?
Yes, that's why when you look at the little graph on the back, it shows line for single family building and for building the University Park.
Okay. Any other questions?
And just, I think even in that, if we're going to do the billing for them, what is the benefit for us?
No, it's not. It's a cost.
Well, it should.
The benefit would be a reduced cost to the residents and administrative fee paid to the village. They pay an administrative fee to the village now to do the billing, but the administrative fee is not sufficient to offset the bad debt.
Is it matter? Can we add a percentage? Take what we have now and negotiate a percentage of that into it?
We can certainly discuss that with them. We don't want to cover the bad debt. If we want to do the billing for them, we do not want to be responsible for their bad debt. So that is one thing we've been talking about. We're going to continue to do the billing, and we're going to build on actual collections. We're going to adjust their bills to our actual collections.
And I'm only saying that because we're asking for a pie in the sky with these requirements. I mean, there's a lot here that we're looking to have in an agreement, and I think we should probably include to add some administrative costs for us for collecting invoices.
I'm sorry,
all right. So,
that's all.
All right, thank you. And if anybody else has any suggestions, just please email the village manager, Ms. Townsend, and then you can give the manager your request on what you'd like to see in the RFP. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Rowland, votes aye. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudette.
Votes aye.
Trustee Larry Brown.
Votes aye. All right. Item F, bills payable. Attached for our approval is a listing of the general operating expenses for the Village of University Park, and following is a grand total of the everyday expenses for the last 2 weeks from January 28th to February 10th, 2015. General Operation Fund, $374,091.06. Road and Bridge, $2,157.63. Town Center, $3,997.74. The golf course, $26,523.28. And the MFT fund, for those who don't know, the motor fuel tax fund is $360, with the grand total of $407,129.71. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by trustee Larry Brown, second by trustee Oscar Brown. Questions?
I have a question.
Trustee Larry Brown?
Page 1, check number 83971, Monroe Truck Equipment Repairs for $8,610.
Who's got questions? You, Larry?
Yeah.
Mr. Jones?
And then we represent work done in public works truck. We had quite a bit of work, but Jerry's not here to explain that. I think he'll explain.
Was that one of our,
Yeah,
is one of our snow plows?
No, the truck, well, it's an old truck, 2003 Ford F-50, F-450.
There's a smaller truck?
No, F-450 is a big truck. That's what it is.
There's one with a plow on it, right?
The year is 2003. It's a real old truck. That's quite a bit from me.
Stop how we spend money in old trucks like that.
Page 2 is check number 83988, Stanley W. Pagoric, legal fees, $3,189.
Okay. I'm going to speak a little bit on both of them. With the truck, the older truck, we actually did replace the bed in that truck. It's an old truck, you know, it looks like they replaced the entire 78 by 87 with tailgate bed. The entire bed was replaced, you know. It was rotted out, like Joe said, it's an old truck, was rotted out, they had the bed replaced. And that's a little bit cheaper than buying another 400 F-Series 450, which is a pretty big truck. The second one is our prosecutor, Stanley Pagoric. Stanley Pagoric is our prosecutor, he's our local prosecutor.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
I got a question. Check 83976, Pathfinder Data Services, hosting services rendered, $3,200.
The IT expense for the Dell Power Controller.
What's that?
It's an IT expense, and I'm not really familiar with the IT expense, but it's for operating system.
Okay, all right, I'll ask them tomorrow. Okay.
It's a server.
Okay, a server, all right. All right, thank you. Check 83992, Spyglass Group LLC Consulting Services, $5,926.17.
That was Spyglass was a consulting firm that helped with our telephone lines. They came in and looked at all our telephone lines and looked at anything we might have been paying duplicate services for. They worked with the IT department extensively over analyzing the telephone lines all over the whole village, and then they came back with us and told us about lines that we were duplicating using, that we were paying for that we didn't pay for.
All right, okay, thank you.
Check 83935 to Crawford, Millet, Murphy, and Tilley for engineering. This is for $5,124. Now, I understand that they are still doing work for us, and I'm just wondering why they're still doing work for us and why we haven't turned that over to Robinson Engineering, and it's because it's been 3 years.
The work they did for us on University Parkway we cannot turn it over to Robinson Engineering. They're the engineers of record. They've drawn extensive plans. They work, now Robinson Engineer works with them as our in-house engineer. But to simply discard the work they've done, the plans are probably about 5,000 detailed pages, and they're still considered on IDOT's books as the engineer of record for drafting those plans, so they continue to draft and revise those plans as we work on the University Parkway. So they'll continue to be part of the village until all of our, until the University Parkway is completely reconstructed from Central to Crawford.
And is that the only part that they're part of, not from Central to Governor's Highway?
All those Governor's highways. We constructed the entire road. When they drew those original plans in 1996, they've had to revise those plans a few times, revise out rules and regulations have changed. And it's much simpler to pay them the fee to revise and update those plans than to have someone go out and do them from scratch.
Okay, so, but that's basically the only thing they're working on?
It's the only thing they work on.
Okay. Check 83966 Mead Electric Company regarding the street lights. Is this part of what you had indicated before? Is this the outside vendor that we're using to try to fix some of the street lights that we've been getting complaints about? This doesn't seem like much money.
They work on outside. They helped us with the outside lights, and Mead also will be your contractor for your traffic signalization lights also. Traffic lights that we're responsible for.
Okay.
If they need maintenance or repair, then they will be the ones to go out and do those.
Okay. The last one here is 83998. This is a University Park foreign fire tax. That's for $14,347.51, but it says refund to University Park for, but it didn't seem like an expense would be a refund to University Park, so is that a just?
Deputy Fellows,
Okay.
he's not asleep, he's with us.
All right.
Okay, trustees, the Foreign Fire Tax Board is a part of the fire department that oversees funds that are collected from companies that obtain their fire insurance from outside or foreign to Illinois. It's an amount that is roughly equal to 2% of the premiums paid that gets collected on behalf of the village and turned over to the fire department to assist us with purchasing anything from backboards for the ambulances up to fire hose, replace chainsaws, anything within that realm that'll lead to the maintenance, improvement, and benefit of the fire department.
So this description that they have here is refund to University Park for, that just simply, what was that? That's money from the refund that you used to spend for fire department related expenses?
We have not received this money yet. Normally what has happened in the past was when the check arrives, it's delivered directly to our board's treasurer and deposited in the account that we have set up at the bank over in Crete. Somehow, it's my understanding that the check never made it to us. It was...
I know a little bit more about that. I can tell you what that is. What that particular description is there, that was money that came to us, and we were not supposed, it's supposed to be going on what you're talking about, but we cashed the check, and so we just reimbursed them. We should have never, when the money came into the village, we should have never cashed the check. So that's all it is, reimbursement out of account.
Okay.
So was it intercepted?
Anybody else? Any other questions?
I got one question.
Trustee Griffin.
It's on the last engineering firm, GD.
CMT?
Yes, CMT. I remember I asked you a couple of meetings ago about those checks. Have they been canceled? I mean, have they been cashed?
Not that I'm aware of, I'm not sure, I have to let you know, but as far as I know, they have not been.
They have not been?
Okay, one other check. 83999. Will County Governmental Balance Student Reception, $4,310.57. That's the last one on the last page.
Pardon? Yeah, you can.
Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
I'm sorry. Trustee?
Yes, ma'am.
That is not for the reception. That is actually our annual membership fee that we pay each year. We not only get this from Will County, but we get one from each organization that we're affiliated with.
Okay.
Yes, that's incorrect.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the clarity. Anybody else? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Williams, both ayes. Trustee Oscar Brown.
Aye.
Trustee Page.
I'd pay the bills.
Trustee Griffin.
Votes aye.
Trustee Rudez.
Votes aye.
Trustee Whitmore.
Votes aye.
Okey-doke. Here we are to our general public section. For those who are unaware of the way the general public section goes, each person who's on the list has 3 minutes to come to the podium and speak. Oh, matter of fact, excuse me, thank you. I'm going to ask for a 2-minute recess.
So moved.
Second?
Second. Good. All in favor? Aye. Aye. We have a 2-minute recess before we go into the general public. Thank you. How much time left? Yeah, but there's another item for the public section. Yes, report of the mayor, board of trustees. All right, Trustee Griffin, we're back in order. Report of item G on the agenda, report of the mayor, board of trustees, clerk, manager, appointed officials, and committees. Any reports from elected officials? No. Trustee Oscar Brown? No. Trustee Elizabeth Williams? No. Madam Clerk?
Just to remind the public that April 7th
is the election day for the general consolidated election, where we vote for not only state and county officials, but for local officials. And that March 10th is the last day to register to vote for that election.
Is everyone able to hear the clerk?
No.
You good? All right. Trustee Williams?
Yes, I want to take this time to thank everybody that sent me a goodwill card. I appreciate it, and I thank you very much.
Trustee Larry Brown, any reports?
No reports.
Trustee Griffin, any reports?
No, sir, not at this time.
Nothing needed for myself, manager to hear anything? None at this time. Thank you, sir. Let's resume to our general public. We'll call them by order. Mrs. Mildred Morgan.
Good evening. My name is Mildred Morgan. I don't have much to say. If it's appropriate, it's not on the agenda anywhere, I want to give thanks. Can I do that? Being facetious. I want to give thanks to Mr. Lanier and also to Trustee Griffin. Because of those two young men, and along with Jerry Hunt and Jerry Townsend, we could see the pavement. There was so much snow up and down University Park, and because of them, they made it right. They made it so, put the salt out so that we can travel up and down with our vehicles and not slip and slide. And it was just, and I'm out all the time. It was just really, really wonderful.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to stick to business because I have to be fair with everyone. We need to stick to the items on the agenda for questions, please.
I didn't know that. I just thought that I could give thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Trustee Rubez. In regards to the audit, Mr. Payton, can you please do us a favor well, do me a favor. When you talk about numbers, you know, to the best of your ability, can you please use precise numbers? Because you have a habit of exaggerating. When you say that millions of dollars per year, well, when I talked to the audit guy, he said for 2011, the monies that's been spent at the golf course or misused at the golf course was $794,000. Yeah, that's close to $1 million. We don't want to round it up to the nearest million. So let's stick with precise numbers. When I asked about 2010, he said 700-something thousand. Well, that's not $1 million. So when you use figures, because I like to write down numbers, can you please use as close to the figure as possible? Let's not round up numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Morgan.
Yeah.
All right, we have a trustee comment. He wants to respond.
Yeah, Ms. Morgan, thanks for your comments. You perhaps got something confused. I read exactly the numbers out of the audit that I quoted. The question from Trustee Griffin was where we stood today in terms of the loss of the golf course, where we still continuing at the $815,000 rate that we were in 2011. And he quoted you 700-some thousand, but he didn't include the $123,000 in depreciation that brought it up to the $815,000. So the comment that I made about the 1.2 million I was quoting, and perhaps you didn't hear that, was from the Treasurer's report. The last two Treasurer's report that were not part of this particular audit, so that would have been 12 and 13. So, you know, the numbers are not precise, but it just demonstrates the losses that the golf course has seen since the 2011 audit, as officially reported to the state.
Sonia Jenkins, next person from the general public.
Good evening, Board. And then I was sitting listening to you discuss the Thornburg company coming in reference to the lobbies. And I was basically wondering why you would be against something that is going to provide assistance with fixing our roads and sidewalks and different things of that nature. When they invested so much money into the interchange and provided us the funding from the interchange at $171 or $114 million, I get confused. I was wondering why Mr. Payne and Mr. Larry Brown would not be for something like that if it's not going to put any form of I'm searching for a word, any form of burden on us as residents and taxpayers. Our property taxes are already high enough. So why wouldn't you want to support something like that? I understand that there was some concerns about the $8,000 fee per month versus what should have been placed or set into. I get confused. Why wouldn't you be for something like that? That's my biggest question to you. And our village needs to grow. It needs to grow. We need representation in Springfield. We need these things. We have a new governor that's come in. He's cut everything out everybody is aware of. If we have no representation down there, do you have any direct representation in Springfield that would assist us with some of the grant money that may come through or may not come through? I need to know that as a resident, as a concerned taxpayer here in University Park. And thank you.
Thank you.
I respond.
Trustee Larry Brown and Trustee Bill Payne would like to respond, and the next person can be ready. Will be Robert Travis, but Trustee Larry Brown.
I thank you for your question. My concern has always been, I was here when the Thornburg, that firm was a consultant for us. Not one time did we get any report from what he was doing. not a report. He stood here at the board meeting, I asked him for a report. He told me, I don't do reports. And hearing that, then I'm not going to vote to pay him. Why should I, and anybody can say what they've done, but you know what, I would like to see the report would tell me what he did. The report would tell me who he talked with, who he collaborated with, and who helped him put our project, this IDOT project, on the map. From what I know, speaking to the representatives who, the state and the state senators and the state representatives, is that this individual did not have anything to do with this interchange. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying anything I heard, I'm saying what I know. When I go back and I check out, I'm going to find out if the guy's telling the truth. But if I don't get a report, it's just like somebody coming to repair your home. If you don't get a receipt for paying them, who's to say that you paid them? So, and the other thing is our finances. We do not know to this day where we stand financially. I don't even know. We only have the 2011 audit. And, you know, I'm just saying, being here, seeing it, you know, you got to show me. Don't tell me, you got to show me.
Trustee Payton.
Thank you. I'm not opposed to progress. I'm opposed to wasting the taxpayers' money, as Trustee Larry Brown indicated, on things that have not proven themselves. It's like Obama just said, you know, with this Cuba policy. I think it hasn't worked for 50 years, and you're talking about his Cuba policy. You know, why would you continue doing the same old thing and getting the same results? There are a lot of other lobbyists. We didn't hear from them, did we? I've got a good friend of mine who was the deputy majority leader in the Illinois House of Representatives for 18 years. You know, his son has taken his place. He has helped me when I was president of the school board on getting money for the district, okay? During the last 3.5 years, since Mayor Covington has been here, she and other members of this board, including Mayor Pro-Tem Rudez here, have lobbied our state legislators and the CMAP and the South Suburban mayors and managers, Will County, and we have gotten quite a bit of money, $10 million. These roads that are being done were not done with the assistance of this new firm. Quite to the contrary, they were done by us. And the fact that they have in there specifically saying that they need to improve the relationships that we have with our local elected officials, I doubt very much that they can do more than what the mayor and you know, I know Al Riley or Representative Riley. We've been working with State Representative DeLuca with Thornwood House and trying to correct some of the problems there. So, you know, I don't think that we need to spend $10,000 a month for things on a lobbyist when we have so much other stuff that needs to be done in University Park. The Kids Health Club needs to be finished so that not only the kids and our athletic teams and our senior citizens can go over there and use that facilities, but it's also been set up to be a emergency cooling and warming center. You know, we hope to get a grant to put a generator back there so that when there's serious weather conditions, people can go there and use that thing. It's got a homework center in there. So why would we spend $10,000, $10,500 on a lobbyist when there's so much other stuff that can be done?
Well, I've been here for 5 years, and I'm still waiting on that rec center.
Okay, Mr. Texas, I really have to stop because we can't have an all-long dialogue. If you guys want to talk, we can talk after.
I want to hear what she's saying. She has a legitimate question.
I appreciate your question. We have to stick to the script, the 3 minutes are up, so we're not going to have an ongoing dialogue. I appreciate that much. But I will say that if we don't reinvest in our community, we won't get anything back. All right, Mr. Robert Travis.
You spent thousands of dollars over in the kids' zone. Ain't got nothing.
Trustee board, residents. I don't agree with the bringing the lobbyists back. I don't know where we get the money from. I don't know where we get the $10,500 from. And I think that's wrong. We didn't do nothing last time. I think the big problem is we need the $10,500 to put lights in the golf course. It's completely dark over there, and what's going to happen is that somebody's going to get hurt. You can get a lot of sleep that the village cannot recover. I've been trying to talk about this for the last 15 years. We need permanent lighting over there. And also, I'd like to, can I make an announcement? Please?
Is it pertaining to something on this agenda?
It's pertaining to something that people need to do.
Is it something pertaining to the agenda? Because I discouraged everyone else.
But it's about Toastmasters.
No.
Why not?
Because that's not the protocol, sir. So please stick to the agenda, and we're not going to do public service announcements. You know, send out a mail or something.
Okay, all right. Can I make a comment on the agenda itself?
Sure.
Okay. I wonder why this agenda is changed. 10 years ago it was changed like this. It was changed back, now it's changed again. So when you do this, you take the public out of the making comments on the new business. This is at the end, it's after the executive session and also after reports of the mayor and committees. So I don't agree with this. It should be put back where it was before. So we can have comments on to the new business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Travis. Trustee Oscar Brown, would like to respond?
Yes. Again, funds to pay for the lobbies or lobbying efforts is coming from the employee expense tax, which comes directly from businesses in the industrial park. So there is no cost to the residents as of right now. We have $125,765.96 available right now. We spent $118. However, we're going to have a projected $347,000 that's going to come in. We get about half of that. So to say that this is going on the residents is not true. Also, you have to do the work, and you have to hire somebody to do the work. Somebody needs to be in Washington at all times. With Barnes and Thornburg, we have somebody in Washington at all times. With Barnes and Thornburg, we'll have somebody in Springfield at all times. And with Barnes and Thornburg, we might have inroads with the governor's office to take care of very needed projects there too, which will, again, secure revenue. You have to make an investment in order to get things accomplished here in the Village University Park.
Thank you.
No. 10-second response. No, there's no response.
There's no response. Bobby Greer, your time is up, Mr. Travis.
Okay.
I appreciate that. We'll take that into consideration.
You need to.
All right. We just want to stick to a business forum. Mrs. Greer?
This format has changed a lot since I was last here. So this was for the fire and the police. Well, you just tell me if I can't say it. My pastor said to our congregation on Sunday that the past Sunday with the really bad storm, that the police department and the fire paramedics was basically instrumental in saving someone's life. The police department had the foresight to know that the person was diabetic, not drunk, and the paramedics took over an hour and a half trying to get this person stable to take to the hospital. And I think that the police and the fire department should be commended for a job well done. And I too disagree with the way the comments, I mean, you can't really make comments according to the agenda, and I was hesitant to come up here to see if it was okay to thank the fire and police department for a job well done. Just doesn't seem right.
Thank you, Mrs. Ware. Gina Williams. Then next will be Mrs. Paula Wilson and James Young.
Good evening. Unfortunately, I didn't know we were back to this sticking to the agenda format. So the comments I had weren't according to this agenda, but I do want to find out what is the financial state of our village, because we are spending out more than we're taking in. And I again think that the members of the residents out here should have a chance to voice their opinion. So prayer changes things. This will change.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paula Wilson. I will comment about the agenda. I have two questions. Mr. Lanier, I came in the middle of this. Why would you not let the attorney review this? Because it was 3 pages. Why did we have to do first, second, and third, not us, we, why did you guys have to do first, second, and third readings on something that an attorney has not seen? Question number 1. Trustee Larry Brown, thank you for the information about the lobbyists. We don't buy a car the first time we see it. We don't buy anything without taking looks at other examples. We have an experience, thank you Larry Brown, Trustee Brown, with this lobbyist. Why haven't we looked at another? Okay. And since others have been allowed to talk outside the agenda, thank you to investigators Jones and Wynn for coming to my house, doing the Bridging the Gap, community relations, working with 17 youths. That's what I like to see, working in the community. So if somebody can answer first, second, and third readings with no attorney reviewing.
I have a comment. Whoever places an item on the agenda, the items are placed on the agenda either by myself, the mayor, or the board. They get to ask whether or not they want it on it for first, second, and third readings. I did not place this particular item on the agenda. As far as the attorney review, I'm quite competent in reviewing a 3-page document and asking the board to make a decision on it.
Thank you.
Good evening. How you doing? James Young, trustee Mooney Township. I've got 3 comments. First of all, Trustee Payton, I want you to know that there's a lot of people that appreciate your insight, your intelligence, and your candor on these issues. So I congratulate you on that. Trustee Larry Brown, thank you for your comments on the lobbyists, because as a hardworking taxpayer in this community, I do not want to see my tax dollars wasted. I think we've learned that before. I remember the controversy concerning the lobbyists, and I do not think that we need to be spending money on a lobbyist. That's why we have a state representative. That's why we have U.S. senators to represent our interests, and we can turn to and consult on things that we need for this village. My third comment is that it's been brought to my attention that those of us that filed for the election in April, that we're supposed to receive.
That's not on the agenda, sir. I have to interrupt you.
Trustee Rudez, it's supposed to be public information.
Mr. Young, okay, please.
That's it. D, I just want to know, if I'm supposed to receive the packet, I'd like to have it.
You didn't get yours?
You should.
No, that's what I'm talking about, D. Nobody ever told me I'm entitled to a packet. That's why I'm asking the question.
Did you call me? I'm let you know. Okay, we told you.
Thank you. That's everybody, right?
Are you Ms. Watson? Walton? Okay, Ms. Watson.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
What happened to your after school program?
I can't hear you. What's your name?
After school program?
After school. What's your name?
Her name is Ms. Walton.
It's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Siobhan Walton? Not on the agenda.
I just want to do some things for the community, and I want to know how to get it on this young man to discuss?
You can talk to the village manager after the meeting, okay?
Village manager?
That's Mr. Lanier.
Okay. That's for economic development also?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra Hurd, please.
Good evening, board and residents. My name is Sandra Hurd. I'm the assessor from Moline Township. Also, the committee person.
Microphone is heard.
Can you hear me?
Okay, now.
Okay, all right. I have a few questions. As regards to the refuge, are we seeking any reduction in costs in refuge? And also, since we're going to be including recycling, and if they're doing the billing, will that also automatically increase the expenses that we have to pay? And will the current provider, STAR, will they be part of the companies that are providing bids? My second comment is a question rather. The Finance Committee does meet, and we are going to be requesting a copy of the 2011 audit that was covered tonight and approved by the board. We meet every third Wednesday of the month, and I think it would be good if residents, as the board, as well as the board members, could come out, because we do get a chance to discuss some of the finances. People had questions about that. The date of the next meeting is the 18th of February, so it'll be next Wednesday. And then I wanted to know, since we're still paying two different engineering companies, and it's going to be tied to when the project is completed for the University Parkway, I heard you say. I just want to know, do you have a projected date of completion of when we will no longer have to continue to pay both the engineering firms? The next one is, I would like to know, why are we revisiting the lobbyist firm? I do know that there was a lot of disconcern before, one that Trustee Brown mentioned, not getting any reports. But I think that if we are considering that, it would have been a good idea to maybe look at some other companies as well. But we definitely want to invest in our village. I don't think nobody's questioning that, but we want to do it wisely. And I would like to know then, will they be committed to providing us regular reports, giving us status, and not, before I think they were claiming stuff that they didn't actually do. And then my last comment is a question. Why are the officers and the attorneys dismissed before the general public time? If we have questions that require their response, I'd like to know, how do we get those questions addressed?
Thank you. Manager Lanier, would you like to address the staff question, please?
Any question that you would like to pose to the staff, you can shoot an email to mine, send an email to my office, and I will respond to it.
But we're interested
Why are they
in questions.
dismissed?
They are dismissed because, the attorney is dismissed because they really do not, this section is for public comment. It's not for question and answer of staff and elected officials. If the elected officials elect to have you to engage in a question and answer session, that's their decision. But they're not here for question and answer sessions. They're here to lend support on items they have on the agenda for the Board of Trustees.
Yeah. Trustee Oscar Brown. Trustee Oscar Brown.
I have there are minor projects that need to be completed right away that I believe Barnes and Thornburg is in a unique situation to help with, which was the reason why we decided to go forward with it right away. It could mean literally $1 million or an unlimited source of revenue. So it was important that we did it now.
And what's the extent of
Devon Dilworth.
to them?
Well, here's my comments here. It's about the audit.
It's excuse me, Mr. Dilworth, you do have to go to the podium.
Oh, I have to go to.
Yes. Yes. This is general public comment. This is general public comments. General public.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Rudez and the board. I want to make a comment on the audits. Here's my problem here, okay? And it's going back to what Trustee Payton was talking about the audits. The auditor did not want to make the comment on the fact that the lack of resources that the accounting department has is the reason why that our books are not up to date. This is the reason why that he cannot complete the audits in a timely manner as to what the audit should be completed. So I just want to let the people out here in the audience know that this is the reason why that the audits are not completed in a timely manner. I know that he doesn't want to make the comments about that, but I should make the comments about that as the treasurer of this village, is the fact that, you know, as of right now, the reason why that the books are not complete, the reason why that the books are not complete in a timely manner, the audits are not complete in a timely manner, is due to the fact that we are not completing the books the correct in a faster pace. Okay, so
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Please don't disrupt them.
Here's the case here. Okay, you have our books. Our books right now has to be completed by the accounting department. They have to go in, they have to dig, they have to make journal entries and different things like that, adjusting entries to our books in order for the auditors to actually complete the audits in a timely manner. So these are just my comments, is that this is the fact that the lack of education that we have inside of our accounting department is the reason why that we cannot complete these audits in a timely manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dilworth. Yes, Manager Lanier.
And just to clarify things, the reason the audits are not up to date is because when we came on board in 2011, the last audit completed was 2008. Audits have to be done in succession. You can't go from 2008 to 2012, 2013. You have to do each year. It's not a matter of bringing on more bodies or the accounting staff not doing what they need to be doing. They're working on current transactions and at the same time working on past transactions. They're all very skilled. They're all competent in what they do. It's just a matter of time. It takes time to catch up. If you miss doing something 1 year, it'll take you twice as much time to go back and do it 2 years later. If you didn't do the audit in 2009, and you're dedicated to working on 2014, you still have to do 2009 also. It's not a matter of staffing. And the auditors, they could not, even if we brought in more staff to do more, to catch the accounting records up quicker, the auditors also have a schedule. They're not sitting around waiting for us to catch up our books. They have a schedule, they have a client list. They've dedicated a lot of time to us. They've made themselves available to us almost exclusively during their slow season. So they're working at a pretty good clip, same as the staff. It's just a matter of these things take time.
Okey doke. Announcement of scheduled meetings. Board of Trustee comments. Oh, we done that already, huh? It's adjournment time?
Yeah.
All right. May I make a motion?
I was on the list to study. She said she was on the list. Not about her thing. Okay, well, may I speak?
No, the public section is over, Ms. Williams, and I don't see your name on here. May I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.